Alright folks, this is a progress update on my tool chest. If you've been following the series, you'll know I've been working on fitting a retaining board on the inside of the lid here. I've now got that basically complete. There's one or two bits I'm not entirely happy with, but it's going to do, I think. I'm not going to do any more to it. These straps of wood, which were all cut to length and have these little miters in at the corners here, they were fitted and the magnets were all glued into place. Now I've gone over the magnets, and that one there is maybe a little bit proud. That was one of the ones that I was unhappy with. This one also. But I thought I'd just leave it to see if it was going to be, require to be removed or not. This one here is also maybe just a tad high there. But as for the rest of them are all flush or maybe possibly just a little bit under in some instances. That one there, for instance. But they're all good. They're all my concerns with the epoxy resin not being strong enough to hold the magnets in place seems to be unfounded. And for the moment, all that's retaining these straps are little moulding pins. I had a box of these lying up in the garage. I forgot I had them actually. Now these ones are actually an inch long, but I've got another box lying somewhere that's 3/4 of an inch. So I've used the 3/4 length. Even 3/4 is too long to just knock in at 90 degrees to the face. So what I've done is I've knocked them in at somewhere between 30 and 45 degrees. So my theory is that if I've got one going in at an angle like that and the other one going in at an angle like that, not only will they not penetrate all the way through and damage the face of the lid here, it will also give it a little bit of a sort of dovetail effect, so it will help retain the strap in place when the lid has been lifted off. So you can see what I've done now. I've got the 8 magnets on the inside the lid, and I've got the 8 magnets there on the retaining board, and that just simply snaps on like that. Now at the moment I'm using a knife here to pry it out, but with only 8 magnets, it's got a good grip and it's not strong enough to prove to be difficult to remove. So that's it, job done. Well, I say job done. What I've got to do next is I've got to fit the blocks of wood on here now to hold the saw. And I've been trying to position my saws last night to get to maximise the amount of storage I can utilise. So I'm thinking something along that sort of lines. Hold on here a second. Pardon the camera work, folks. So yeah, I'm thinking something along that sort of lines there. It's not finalised yet. I would really have preferred to have had the square going in that way, but that's going to prove a bit awkward when I want to get the saw in and out, so I think I'm going to have to put the square in that sort of fashion. Now, just a side note, I got this saw and this one as part of a set from Lidl's. It's a cheap set. I don't think I paid much more than, was it £7 or £8 for them. I'm sure they'll have their uses, but as a mortise and tenon saw, this one is just totally what was I going to say? It's just not adequate. It's totally inadequate, right? The teeth are too large, and you just don't get a very clean cut. The teeth need to be smaller and more tightly packed to be a good mortise and tenon saw. There's a bit of weight in it, but it's fairly light, and this bit of strapping they've got along the back here, that's just to give it the look of a mortise and tenon saw. It's not actually providing any, or it's providing a negligible amount of additional weight to help drive the saw through the joint. So it looks like a mortise and tenon saw. It's not. It's just a cheap piece of crap. However, these two saws also came with a rep saw of this similar design and colouring, and I've managed to lose that. I was cutting up some lumber down at a wood yard the other day. They were getting rid of some scrap wood, and I was helping myself to some firewood basically. I left it behind, and it was a brand new saw, and some thieving tow rag's gone away with it. I might get it back yet, but it was only really going to be used for rough stuff. I've got a backhoe here. Now this is my good saw. I keep that for, you know, nice work. Okay. This was a good saw. Well, I say good. You know, I never paid much for this saw. I think it was about £8 I paid for it. It's getting blunt now, however, it needs a sharpen. It's a jack saw. I don't recall the number of teeth that's on it. 9 to 10, no, 9 teeth, 10 pitch, 22 inch. Anyway, that was a good saw, but she's starting to prove to be a bit blunt now. I got this rip saw here also in a box of tools. I quite like that. It's got a nice handle to it. Got a wheat stalk on it, you know. You don't see them anymore. It was well rusted, so I gave it a clean up and that, and I gave the wood a little bit of a clean, and I oiled the blade just a little, just to prevent further rust. Again, the teeth are needing a sharpen, but it's adequate. You will cut through wood with it, you know. There's another saw here. I don't know where I got this one from. I've had this one for a wee while now. It was quite a sharp saw until I hit a nail with it. Stanley saw. So I use that for rough stuff now. I may get round to sharpening these saws at some point, but I don't have the correct saw file for that. I've done a little bit of reading up on it, and I do have, however, the sawtooth setter. This is for basically setting the teeth of your saw to the right angle. So I do have that. So you basically sharpen all your teeth, and then you use this to set them to the right angle. So I've got that, so I just need to get you get a little jig for sharpening your teeth at the right angle. You know, some of the older carpenters and joiners would just do it by hand and by eye with a little wee triangular file, but I think you need a lot of practice to do it efficiently with that. And I think I'm going to go ahead with a little jig that keeps your angle intact to the plane of the blade, and try restoring these saws back into a sort of better condition than they currently are. Right. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going to go from here. Once my saws are in position, I think then I'll be looking at getting the handles fitted to the drawers. Now, a side note on the drawers rather. This top drawer, it was my first attempt, and as you can see here, it hasn't come out entirely to my satisfaction. I didn't have clamps at the time to hold the sides together when it was being glued, and it was kind of just sort of pushed together and sort of held with blocks of wood and bits and pieces that was heavy enough to hold it together somewhat, and it sprung slightly. Now you might think this is a poorly fitting joint here because of the gap. That's not necessarily the case, because this part of the box is actually not uniform in thickness. You'll maybe see that it does come in somewhat near the top here, and you know, this on the outside edge. Further in at the back there, it's actually a bit wider, you know. So this has suffered some wear and damage over the years. So while there is a gap there, it's required so that the back of the box or the back of the drawer actually is physically able to go all the way to the back. If I had it tight to here, it would jam. Okay, so down here where the box is not suffered as much wear, I'm quite happy with that. You know, okay, it's maybe a little bit ugly having the what's the term for that now? It's a drawer slide, I guess, or the drawer support, having it showing through in this fashion. But the idea was that I didn't want to have to mess around making sure that the drawer was the right way around to move it in and out. Now, I'm just building this stuff off the top of my head. I'm not sitting down and well, I am doing some design work on the computer, I guess, but I'm not spending any great time at that. My initial thought was that I'd have these drawers reversible, okay, so that I could take the drawer out, set it down, get access to my tools, and then pick it up and just slide it back in without having to worry about which way round the drawer it was. Yeah, this could be the back or the front. Okay, now I may still just go with that as my sort of design brief, okay, and just leave it as it is. I do feel that having some way of getting the top drawer out, however, without having to open the bottom drawer, is something that I'm kind of wanting to do now, because it's just a pain, you know, having to do this every time just to get the top drawer out and then push the bottom drawer back in so that I can get the top drawer out like that. It's just a pain having to do that. So I'm thinking about handles, as I've mentioned already in a couple of videos now, and I've also mentioned why I'm leaving that until I had this finished. Basically, I don't want the handles interfering with the placement of the tools. So once the tools are in place, then I'd fit the handles. I've realised, however, that if I fit handles to this, then the drawer will no longer be reversible. So I've got a decision to make. It's not a big decision. Will I fit handles to it or will I not? Or is there a third option? Is there an option where I could maybe just have a hole drilled, 2 holes drilled in this, so I can get my finger in and pull it out that way, you know? There's always another option, ain't there? So, yeah, that's 15 minutes, folks. That's a huge video. Sorry about the length of this video. I'm trying to keep them shorter, under 10 minutes these days, because it's just too much editing and too much time uploading it. And you know, we all might have 10 meg or 18 meg download speeds now, but our uploads are still pretty poor, so it takes quite a long time to upload these videos. Right, that's all for now, and until I get this all sorted out, that'll be all for the next week or two, I think. I've got a few other things I need to be getting on with. Thanks for watching, and hope you've enjoyed the video. Bye for now.